This is The Jump Around with Jim Rutledge and Pablo Iglesias, streaming live on the ESPN Madison YouTube channel.
And welcome in to the Jump Around 3.0. I am Jim Rutledge alongside Pablo Iglesias. I actually ran into one of the co-hosts of the Jump Around when it was on the air.
Ooh.
That was TJ Hogan over in Milwaukee now, and he was one of my co-hosts. When it was not a Badger-dedicated show, when it was on the air 1 hour a week, it was more of a daily sports talk show.
So you guys were the... well, I can understand still why Madison would be the Jump Around daily sport, because I was like, wait, if you didn't talk about Badgers...
Well, we did talk about Badgers, but it wasn't Badgers only.
Okay.
And so, just like Farmers Only, it's probably not only for farmers. Is that still a website? Is that still around?
Okay, well, we are off and running.
You guys all know you don't have
to be lonely at farmersonly.com. What free pub we're giving out here?
We're not welcoming them in as a new partner here of the Jump Around.
Well, due to our great security that we have here at Good Karma Brands and our awesome IT team, it has blocked me from trying to access that site. So at farmersonly.com, I don't know if it's active or not, but
weird.
I am not able to access it here, surprisingly, at our office at work. So
I wonder if that's because it's a dating site and you're supposed to be working, or if it's now just a nefarious site. I don't know. The mystery continues. We need like the X-Files theme song. Oh, right.
It still exists.
Don't
worry.
Yeah, he's on it. Right.
It looks like it hasn't been updated since the year 2009.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. I don't know how many people use this.
I mean, here's the just to
unfortunately,
get into
people that are trying to get out there. Maybe this is tough. Maybe we could start something.
Well, my marketing brain
out.
says one, trying to narrow it down to a specific group is tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could do podcasters only, or nurses only, or doctors only. But like that's such a niche group that you're probably already around already. So that would be one flaw in the system, that your peers are the ones that you're the most likely to be around, including farmers around other farmers. But then if I was going to bet on a group that would be not tech savvy enough to be using and less open to be using online dating, it would be farmers.
Mm-hmm.
/ we see all the stuff in the news about having to get Wi-Fi out to rural areas.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a tough. Well, there's so many different outside of like the popular ones. We're not going to name names out here and continue to give free pub. So there are the ones that like, people are on across the board. But then there are like this next level ones of you mentioned the doctors and the nurses. We will get to Badgers talk at some point in this episode of the Jump Around. Don't worry, everybody. But yeah, there's just like this another elitist level one. It's like the subscription only. It's invite only. You have to like be recommended. It's almost like
is that the one I've heard
like
about?
Like it's
for
like a job, I think, essentially.
Yeah,
like for famous people.
Yeah,
basically?
how do you think Bill Belichick met his current girlfriend?
Jordan
Hudson.
I'm
pretty sure that was through one of those weird like high society apps or whatever.
It's like. Yeah, man. The one, there's a subscription to it on top of it, and then it's just like only meet the elite of the elites. And I'm just like, it just feels so stuffy at this point, man. It's like, what the heck are we doing here?
All right. So what we are doing here is we're going to get to
anyway.
Badgers talk. And we are going to play this. The NFL released their schedule yesterday, Pablo. So we're going to play the schedule game for the Badgers. Obviously, we know their schedule.
Let's do it.
The Badgers over-under win totals for 2025 is 5.5 games. That's 15th in the Big Ten. I don't think they're going to have a Greg Gard with UW basketball type shock the world season. No. But I do think they're going to do better than that. Like if I'm betting the over. Maybe the next time I get out of state, I will place one of these bets on one of the betting apps, because I feel pretty good about that one, to be honest. Every once in a while, I'll go if I'm out of state, down to Illinois, and it's like, you know what? I want to play some futures bets, some over-unders, and 5.5. I feel good on that. But that's not, like, don't take my advice for your financial planning. But I do want to get into it. And Riley, can you dig up, do we have the college football theme? Because that's what I want to hear as we do this. Here it is, the ESPN college football theme. So, Pablo, we're going to play the schedule game. And if you are watching on YouTube right now, and you can listen back with ESPN Wisconsin app, it's now in the App Store, updated app there. And obviously, you can find us on the ESPN Madison's YouTube stream, especially if you're watching there. So if you are watching, you can chime in on this. But we are going to run through the schedule game. And you know what? I feel confident that maybe after this we can make a social media post sharing what we think the Badgers' record will be.
I would love that.
Yeah, so I think we can do that here. So let's run through game one. We're going to make this, it has to be unanimous. So we all three of us, Riley, you're involved in this as well.
All right.
We all have to agree on the outcome here. So Miami, Ohio, that's a dub, right?
Yes.
It's at Camp Randall. It's starting the season.
Yep.
I've got them.
Sharpie that in.
Okay. Middle Tennessee State, dub?
Yes.
All right, I feel good with that too. Now, before we move further along, are either one of those dubs going to feel like an old school Brett Bielema dub? Maybe you don't need to win like 70-0, but like you're going to win this 30-some points, maybe a shutout, Middle Tennessee State, like just one of those true ass-kickings that we used to see back in the day.
What I really need to see is, even with the non-conference games that the Badgers have had to start off the last couple seasons, it's been like still nail-biters. Granted, I respect the teams that have come into Camp Randall and given the Badgers a run for their money, and the Badgers ended up coming out with 2-3 possession scores. Like they ended up running away with it in the third, fourth quarter. But I don't want either of these games to feel anywhere close to being sus at halftime. I want the Badgers, as John Gruden came in over during spring ball and said, you need to end these guys' dreams. That's what I want to see, big picture from Wisconsin, but especially those 2 weeks. Yep. Because, again, it's not like that Miami of Ohio and Middle Tennessee State are going to be the games that prove who you are in the big picture of it, but it also shows like what is this team's identity? Like are they just going to be like this ground and pound, run in your face bully ball? That's big picture of what I'm looking at, and I'm going to evaluate that in those first 2 weeks.
I agree. All right, at Alabama, we all have to
L.
put that down.
Nope.
That's an L. Yeah.
They're going to win, but I'm fine with marking that as an L.
Well,
Okay.
we're going to send you out to Alabama because you did come close. Last year, Riley Yauk was all over the social media at USC, and,
That is true.
we did almost see something. That was pretty cool. I was at a wedding, and I should have texted you, but I was watching that game from afar. Riley, I was excited. I thought you were going to see an
Arguably
upset.
the best Braden Locke we saw all season.
That is true. So
Yes.
maybe you have to make a case to be going to all these tough road games.
Yeah.
All right. Home Maryland. I'm putting that down as a dub.
I have it as a dub too. I couldn't tell you across the board what the Terrapins look like, but you're at home. I think it's just Camp Randall advantage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's just do it.
At Michigan, this one is, if I'm going to pick an upset, I'm picking the Michigan game. Because their coach is going to be suspended. Not for this game. He'll be back. They weren't great last year. It feels like a team. I'm not in this. The cheating is why they were good. Jim Harbaugh is an elite coach, and he's not there anymore. So obviously they got the talent, but talent doesn't always win out, even in college. So I guess if I was going to look at it, that's the one game I'd consider talking about an upset.
I was on the fence.
Let's circle back to it.
Yeah, at the moment I have it chalked as an L, but that was a close one. But let's circle back and talk about this some more. I have a win I have a win next week against
Iowa. Okay,
against
so let's
Iowa.
mark it down as an L for at Michigan, and let's go dub home Iowa.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call that an upset, but I guess it just depends
I'd
where
probably
Iowa
be-
stands. I mean, they're usually in the AP
Yeah,
rankings.
I think that Iowa game is going to be one of the most important games of the year. Because let's say they do lose to Alabama and Michigan, you're teetering 3-2, and everyone's like, "Oh, is this the same Wisconsin team over the past 2 years?"
Yeah.
But if you thwack Iowa, or even just win in one of those grimy, classic Wisconsin-Iowa games,
Yeah.
I think the confidence within the team and the fan base goes up dramatically.
I think we
Without
have
a doubt.
something grimy. We've got
Ooh,
something.
I like that. All right. Versus Ohio State, that's going to be at
Yep.
Camp Randall. I got that
Yeah.
as an L, though. And then at Oregon, I probably got to put that down as an L, too.
Yep. Yeah, you ain't dethroning the national champs, or reigning national
So
champs.
that
I could
Iowa
say.
game is massive because you don't want to have 4 losses broken off in a row.
Yeah.
Like, that's the murderous row for the Badgers. Because here's the thing. If they can keep their confidence level up and play well in this window, and they win one of these games, but they look competitive in the other games, they're going to feel good facing Washington at Camp Randall. But after that stretch, I'm marking that down as a dub because it has to be a dub. And I don't think
Washington
Washington is, anything that's remarkably better than the Badgers.
They took a significant step last season too after that run into the CFP, right? I mean, again, it's an expanded field and it's all different, and they're in a new conference. But correct me if I'm wrong. Washington took a massive step back after losing Penix.
Yeah,
and everybody.
they were not good last year.
Yeah. All right, then at Indiana, I'm going to call this a dub, though.
I put them down as an L for this.
What do you got? You probably got a dub.
I got a W. I'm super optimistic. I could make a case for all of these to be dubs.
I'm saying the rest of the way is dubs. They're going to finish on a 4-game win streak.
This is getting full Hollywood storyline in this one. I think this one might be the heartbreaker that sets a different tone where they're like, that's like maybe the shot themselves in the foot type of game where they had it in their hands, but they're going to learn from it.
Okay. So
type of thing. So that's how deep I'm going to get with this game. But if you guys want to call it a dub, I could see it happening as well.
Well, let's kind of go with, let's not get over our skis. Last year we got a little bit excited. So if we were going to kind of get in, so right now we walked through it. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wins.
We're bowling already.
That's 7 and 5.
Who was our bowling clincher?
That would have been the Illinois game. Would have gotten them into the bowl game. So I would say, as we look at this, the floor for the Badgers, I think, is 6 and 6. Ceiling 8 and 4.
I would agree with that. But that's also a very optimistic outlook. I know there are some Badger fans out there who think the floor is 3 wins and the ceiling is 6.
I don't think the ceiling is 6. I think the floor is 5, and you miss again. But
Okay.
I think there are for sure games in here. Let's see. I take out. So I have them at 7 and 5 when I was going through this. I mean, if we're saying it's a toss-up, maybe the Washington and Illinois games, but those are both at home. I think that could be split.
I think
I'm
we can go
looking at
with
this.
ceiling 8 and 4. We have them at 7 and 5. Floor 5 wins.
Yeah.
All right.
Floor 5 wins. You don't go bowling, at least based off of the rules, and it's like maybe you qualify for it, but we'll see. But I feel like that I'm very comfortable. I've gone big before with my Wisconsin record prediction. I said 11 and 1 in Fickle's first season, and look where I'm at.
No, I
look
get
where
it.
Look where we're all at.
Hey, 9 and 3 this year. Not out of the question.
Riley, I gotta ask you. Riley Yauku is also a proud UW-Madison graduate. He feels like, Jim, I know you've been around the Badgers for a long time too, and I've seen quite a few years. But Riley, I gotta ask you, what pushes you to be this eternal optimist towards the Badgers?
I mean, generally,
not poo-pooing. I just want to know.
No, that's fair. I'm just an optimist in general, especially when it comes to my favorite teams,
like
the
that.
Packers,
Okay,
Badgers,
good.
Brewers. I always try and look on the bright side. And it does feel different. I mean, we've talked about it on this show. Like, Fickle sounds more confident. It sounds like he has what he wants in place with Jeff Grimes. I feel like the offense is going to take a major step forward. The defense, they got bigger, and I hope that leads to getting better. And I liken it to Barry Alvarez's first, I believe it was 3 years at Wisconsin. He struggled a lot, and he's talked about on the huddle that he didn't understand what Big Ten football was like. And he went to, Iowa, right?
Yep.
He coached at Iowa, went to Nebraska, something like that.
Yep. You got it right the second time.
Okay, yep. It took him a few years to figure it out. And I think Fickle is the same way. He's a great coach. All we hear are positive things. And that this is the season with a tough schedule, with very low expectations, he breaks through.
I love that too, and I came in being the eternal optimist with these Wisconsin Badgers too. I knew what they were. I was talking with I was celebrating my 30th last night too.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. It's cool to be at start of the new decade. I was with my folks at dinner and just like talking about Barry Alvarez. Our now awesome teammate too. To say that we're teammates now with Barry Alvarez, one of the first stories when it came to Madison was when Barry retired. And just the fact that he made Wisconsin football what it is. I was explaining that whole story to my parents, the quote of, get your tickets now before it's too late. To say that in your opening press conference, man, to have the stones that Barry did and turn Wisconsin football around, that's just what I want to see. So I want to get back to finally feeling like that eternal optimist. Riley, thank you for always fueling that.
Yeah.
Our Mr. Brightside behind the glass. That's just what I want to see, man. It's for me, what the expectations for Wisconsin are, I don't think the record is going to dictate it for me. I don't feel like that. I do want to see this team go bowling. I'm not even going to figure out. It's like you could be in the bowl that plays before Christmas. It doesn't matter to me. What I want to see is a team that goes out there that plays hard. Like I said, especially those 2 games. Don't want these games to feel like that they're sus scores at halftime. Show me who you truly are going to be right off the bat. Don't make it feel like that these are 2 preseason games that you're still trying to figure it out.
So, what game are you most excited for? I can go. I'm going to go the Iowa game because I think it's one that the Badgers, they've been 0-2 under Fickle. They need to win that one. Could make a case that maybe they would have beaten them. Tanner Mordecai played all the way through when they played at Camp Randall. That, to me, is the one that it's going to double up on my answer for. Must-win game, and the game I'm most excited for is Iowa.
The game I'm most excited for. What was our final record again? We said 8-4 based off of the
ceiling 8-4, 7-5 is what we came up with.
7-5. Okay, so that's exactly what I had too when I was going through this beforehand. The game I'm most excited for is Illinois. I love the stage that is set. It's Brett Bielema returning. It feels like this should be a game that's under the lights. And it's senior day too. It's senior day, potentially senior night. That is the 6th game based off of how I went through this process. That is the 6th win. That is the one that clinches them and puts them into bowl eligibility. Is it wishful thinking? Maybe. But I feel, again, it's a la Riley too, so shout out to Riley Yauk, our eternal optimist in the, behind the glass. I do feel a sense of optimism of that game, and I feel really excited for it because I think based off the gamer that Luke Fickell is, like when they went into Illinois and stole that win, that was probably a Luke Fickell or a Phil Longo rather draw to get who was the guy the offensive lineman that caught the touchdown when Rucci, yes. So
I believe it was Nolan Rucci.
Yes, it was Nolan because Hayden was a tight end.
Yep.
And then Nolan, his younger brother, was the offensive lineman. So that's when they went in and stole a win against Illinois. So, and I know Brett was not thrilled about that.
Yeah.
So it's I mean, I know that Luke Fickell and Brett Bielema, those could be great headlines. I'm sure Brett's gonna go headhunting because Illinois is gonna be looking really good this season. But that's what I'm most excited for. If I had to pick a must-win, I think Iowa. It's just something. Or actually, you know what? Let me reverse that. A must-win at Minnesota. Get that damn axe back, man. Just get the axe back.
Okay.
That's what I want.
Riley?
For most excited, I mean, I already kind of alluded to it earlier, but the Alabama game for sure. One, I'm going to be down there. Super pumped for that. But also, I feel like this is such a great opportunity. Even if the Badgers don't win outright, if they look competitive, they look good, they give Kalen DeBoer and Alabama a scare, everyone's like, okay, let's pay attention. So I think that is what I'm most excited for. And I agree Iowa is absolute must win. Really, if I could throw both Iowa and Minnesota, like you need to get your trophies back. You need to reestablish we're the top dog in these rivalries. You have to beat Iowa. You have to beat Minnesota.
Even if you play hard, though, at Tuscaloosa, I feel like it's going to be a fool's gold situation because it was like, well, granted, the USC lost. They fell in the fourth quarter, but
USC also wasn't good. They were frauds.
Were they ranked going into that
game?
They
were ranked.
That's just all I felt like. So just keep it consistent, too. That's just what I want to think about.
Iowa, it's just more the timing of it. Obviously, getting the axe back is big, but in that window, you got Michigan, Iowa, Ohio State, and Oregon. Those could be 4 losses in a row. Iowa seems like the most winnable of that group there. All right, now I want to chat a little bit about how Camp Randall and Kohl Center can improve. There was an article from Ohio State, the AD emphasizing improvements to the atmosphere at Buckeye football and basketball games. Was something that jumped out to Riley here, and some of the complaints that were in the article were crowd is too quiet, facilities and technology is outdated, too many noon or football games, also too many commercial breaks leads to dead time. That you can't do much for. Too much DJ, not enough band. I'm kind of anti-band, so I don't really care on that part of it. But
wait, why are you anti-band? How are you anti-band?
I just don't think it brings a lot. Like if the band just stopped showing up, we would forget about it in like 2 years.
What'd you have at your wedding? DJ or a band?
We had DJ, but that's a music band though. The marching band.
I know.
I take it or leave it. I've had that stance for a long time. And
Bands rock, though, man.
It really stems from when there was like a hazing controversy with the band. This was maybe, I think it was like 08, 09. And I was like, all right, well, just kick them out. You're going to act like a bunch of idiots, then you don't get to play. We'll all live. But I know it's a tradition at Wisconsin. So I want to get to the crowd is too quiet. And this applies for basketball and for football. I don't know the solution. But for basketball, I've said this forever. The Kohl Center, one, it's kind of a dual-use facility, and those are always tougher to make them sound loud and engaged when you're trying to build for hockey and for basketball. It creates some weird sight lines. It makes it a little bit more cavernous than needs to be in a perfect world. It'd be like, Pfizer Forum was, for a long time, Kohl Center was so much better than the Bradley Center because the Bradley Center was really built for hockey, and then they put basketball there as opposed. Kohl Center at least was trying to build for both. And for Pfizer, they built it for basketball, and it's an amazing experience. It's smaller. It's better sight lines. You're more on top of the action. It is an elite atmosphere when things get rocking there. So that's part of it. The student section, the students do their best, but there is an aspect, and this is a little bit on the students, but definitely on the major fans, that the Kohl Center is a tough place to play only, I'll just put it in our terms, when ESPN is in town. Like when the lights are on, they'll crank it up. You go there on and I understand, a Tuesday night at 6 o'clock on Big Ten Network against Minnesota. Yeah, it's not loud, but if you want to truly be considered an elite arena, you got to bring it every damn night, and you got to build that sort of muscle of like, this needs to be hell on earth every time people come here, and that's going to have to fall on the students. And I'm not giving them all the blame, and I'm not giving a full pass. Obviously, the other part of it is it's expensive to go to these games. They're charging even more. I've talked to people who have the means to buy some of those new seats down there, and the prices and what the badges are asking for are exorbitant. A lot of people passed on it. And so I think, like a lot of programs, it looks like Ohio State as well, Wisconsin's going to run into the idea that the people that can afford those seats are not the people who are going to get loud regularly.
Yeah, I stand on, what was it? I believe it was right off the bat when Fickle came in. I don't know if this report came out either the first or the second week. Was just like where fans were complaining about how loud it was and saying like, oh, it just sounds like, bad music, that there was a frat party and everything. And I'm like, well, for me, when they like brought down the volume, I love the energy too, because when I was over covering the Badgers in the first season of Luke Fickell, like I just felt the energy being on the sidelines. I love the loud music. I loved it. I didn't feel like I was at a party at all, but because people were saying it's too loud, like they now they have to turn it down. The team feeds off that energy though too. I've been at the practices as well. Yeah. When Fickell had started, I felt like it was like I'm going there at 7:30 in the morning, and it's the first thing that I'm doing when I roll out of bed, and I'm watching this practice. All of a sudden, I'm on the field. I hear this music just like blasting. I feel like I want to throw on pads and get out there. That's how much juice that gave me, and I'm sure if you want the Wisconsin, I'm not saying it's just a direct correlation, but it's got to add to something. If you want a high-energy team, if you want this team to perform, then you got to have a little bit of give here. I'm a big golf guy, but at the same point, you're not going to the Masters. You're not going to a PGA tournament. This has got to be a loud environment where everybody wants to come in. They want to feel good. They want to get rowdy. You want to throw somebody that's off sides on the visiting sidelines, then you got to have some loud music in there too. You got to keep feeding that energy. You can't expect the crowd to, even the student section to get the rest of the stadium riled up, man. That's just my take on it. I want to have a party.
That is one thing, and again, football's different. Pfizer does a really good job of making that. It's a lot of halftime. It's a lot of so again, the better issue is having more things going on, making it more exciting, making it more interactive, keeping people's levels up during those long breaks. The music, I don't mind the music. It was, in my opinion, unquestionably too loud. And I'm someone that honestly doesn't even hear that well at 45. And there was times like my ears were ringing. Like the first year, it was under Fickell. They brought in some new DJ thing. And across the board, it was panned of like, it's not a problem with the music playing all the time. It was like at a high level where your ears, like it was uncomfortable. And then it kind of was like, this is a lot. And I get what you're saying, but I think it has a lot to do with, I think they got better time and place of the loudness of it and the music. You run a risk of fans just being fully dependent on the music to tell them what to do and when to do it. So that's another part of it. But I think that with the music, that's one part of it. We need to figure out how to get the kids. If we're going to the football games, we got to figure out how to get them into the stadium faster because they are. And Chrissy Birdsall, one of our teammates, put a video on this last year. They are bottlenecked. They are trying to get in there. Expecting kids to show up a half hour early to be able to be ushered through their one gate and get basically checked to see if they're drunk, like, it's too much. Like, you're asking too much of the kids. So they got to figure out that bottleneck because I guarantee if you figure out that bottleneck, it's not going to be 100%, but it's probably 75% full at kickoff and then 100% full by the end of the first quarter. If you just can figure out a way to thin out that bottleneck. And look, I don't know if they can. We've talked to people who do the alcohol serving at Camp Randall. They're like, there's no solution really for the bottlenecks you have now at the food stands. Basically, their solution was, if you want if you're not eating, basically the solution was don't eat. Because the lines that serve food and beer, they're forever. Like, just go to the one in the grab-and-go ones. Because Camp Randall, historical landmark, is locked in on a few different things, too. So I do feel like if they could figure out a way to energize the crowd better, like you do in an NBA game at Camp Randall and the Kohl Center, that would kind of hit what you're talking about, Pablo. But they also have to solve the bottleneck. Riley, you were the student closest to the rest of us. I mean, the bottleneck's a real thing. Fans are piled up out there.
It's terrible. And I will say part of it is on the students. I remember we hosted people from Nebraska coming for the Wisconsin-Nebraska game, and we showed up a half hour early, super easy to get in. No one was there, and they were shocked that we got that close to the field just showing up a half hour early. So some of it, a little bit, is on the students, but everyone tries to show up about 15 minutes before kickoff. There's only one gate out of the 10 gates surrounding Camp Randall, and you have, 7,000 people trying to go through like a few slots, maybe one person wide, and then they're ushered in by these ushers who are just athletes who go to D3 schools that are raising money for their programs, and they're shuffling you in one by one like sheep all the way and cramming you in so they can sell as many student tickets as possible. It's frustrating, to say the least.
Yeah. Well, so like I said, like I just want a big party. That's how I go about it. But I understand too, like with what you're coming at, Jim, too. Like maybe just
I don't disagree on the party atmosphere.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, like, honestly, when you go to the best experiences, Oklahoma City's another one. NBA teams really turned this out well.
Yeah.
And Lambeau does a good job. Lambeau's very quiet, but again, it's an older crowd. Like, it gets quiet and it gets loud, but they do a good job during the dead times. And if you keep the energy higher during the dead times, then I think the energy stays higher. We're going to talk with Badger Hall of Famer Tarek Saleh coming up here in a second. But it's Steinhaffel's Memorial Day mattress sale. Save up to $900 on select adjustable base sets, plus up to $300 of Steinhaffel's cash, and take advantage of Steinhaffel's special 60-month financing. Get a Queen Tempur-Pedic mattress for only $48 per month, a Beauty Rest Black mattress for only $36 per month, and an Avocado mattress for only $26 per month. Steinhaffel's is Wisconsin's mattress leader. Shop in-store or online at steinhaffels.com. We got Tarek Saleh coming up next.
Thanks.
% off store-wide. Plus, get amazing deals like this Sealy mattress, any size, now $199. A desk, $449. A queen bed priced at only $629. This sofa, now $799. And save up to $1,000 on patio furniture. Plus, take advantage of Steinhaffel's 18-month 0% financing. Steinhaffel's is Wisconsin's furniture and mattress leader. Shop in-store or online at steinhaffels.com.
And we are thrilled to be joined by all-time leader in sacks in UW history and Badger Hall of Famer, and my former co-host on it was In the Trenches at that point, Tarek Saleh. Tarek, looks like you're at the airport today, so thanks for taking time to join us before you head out of town.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm headed to Oregon for the Big Ten track championship. My daughter's competing in the heptathlon, so excited about her getting to compete in an iconic stadium that they have out there where the Olympic trials were. So
yeah, no,
cool.
Well, congratulations to you and to her. And with Badger football, I wanted to kind of start a little bit back in your time, because obviously when Barry got here, it wasn't instant success. It took a couple years to get it rolling, and you were part of the class that really got things rolling, and obviously playing in the Rose Bowl, winning the Rose Bowl. And talk about Wisconsin from when you were a recruit at that point, wanting to come here, and what drew you with Barry Alvarez into the city of Madison.
Well, I think it started with the coaches, because I got to visit with them on the phone, John Palermo, Rob Ianello, and then Coach Alvarez, and then getting them just to share a little bit about the school. Obviously, it's a top academic institution, and then you get to understand that. Sorry for the background, but you get to learn a little about on paper where it ranks amongst other schools, and the combination intrigues you to go make the trip. And then I took the visit, and I really spent a lot of time with the guys on the team, and the combination of coaches, teammates, the atmosphere was amazing, and it really intrigued me to the point that I thought in my heart I wanted to be here. I just needed to go through the process of evaluating. But all along, I thought I was a Badger in my heart and soul.
Yeah, Tarek, we were talking about this too just before we got to you, the environment too. I mean, we all know what Camp Randall's like and everything. It's a place unlike any other. But have you seen any changes? What do you think needs to really be and like improve from your perspective? First off, tell us, like, being on those sidelines, being a guy who sees jump around, how electric a place like Camp Randall is during your time as a player.
It's amazing, and I went to the DMI event downtown. It's Downtown Madison Inc. They had a great event in the South End Zone, and we were able to tour the whole thing. And I've been through it before, but just to take a moment and look back of the growth of Camp Randall Stadium, and I was looking right at all the suites on the east side, and like there was nothing there then. And the evolution of the stadium has been awesome. They did a great job with the South End Zone. There's so many great things about the stadium. Arguably, top 5 atmospheres in the country as far as I'm concerned in terms of game day. And I think a lot of people support that. So just a great place to be. And look, you're always going to find reasons for things to get improved. I was listening to you guys before about the traffic. Yeah, they could do that. Sure, the food could be better. But hey, listen, it's a great atmosphere. They've done a lot of great things to improve that, and they understand the game experience is important because obviously TV does so much. But I think they continue to make improvements and make it a great atmosphere. I enjoy going, and I look forward to this fall.
And so to the football side of things here, obviously you've been around the program, you know what's the ins and outs of it. You've played for Barry. You saw a lot of Brett. You knew Brett. Gary Anderson was here for a little bit, and obviously Paul into Fickle. But I remember, like, when I first got here, Brett had a down year. It wasn't quite the same of back-to-back years, but Fickle's had a tough schedule. Brett had a 7-6 year. The Badgers were able to turn around and build the program to heights darn near where it was with Barry, and then that was able to continue. But over time, the Badgers have had some dips, and so there can be ways that the Badger program can lift itself back up. And this year's schedule might be tough, but what about your time seeing Badger football over the years gives you confidence that now that they're getting back to what Wisconsin football had been running and maybe more of a stout defense, gives you confidence that the program will start turning in the right direction?
Well, first of all, just talking with Coach Alvarez, and he was on our show, The Huddle, in the fall, and we'll continue to do that this fall, and we look forward to it. But, he had to make changes, make tweaks. He had to let coaches go his first 2 years, and then we took off and really did well. Each coach has to build its own identity, even though there's the framework that the infrastructure that's built that hasn't changed even this day. And so when you see what Bielema had to do, even Anderson for the short time was there, and then Paul, they tweaked things and made it their own. And what I see is a development that Coach Fickle's doing, where he's putting his own touch on it. I think the NIL is the X factor here, right? Where this has never been done before, really. Where we've had a situation where the personnel process has changed so drastically. I mean, that's an understatement. So I think he's done a great pivot here on the recovery in terms of what he did in the portal. And then I think he's brought in some great kids through recruiting. And I suspect you'll see a much improved team this year, a gritty team. I love Coach Grimes, what he brings to the table. So the combination of retooling the personnel piece of it and Coach Grimes and what they're doing on a daily basis, I see a lot of things to be encouraged about. Now, the schedule is going to be daunting, right? But I think that needs to be taken into consideration. And, it's got to be, the old Brett Bielema 1-0. You got to take one game at a time. Those first 2 games, while they might be, easier than the rest, but you just got to go out and play your ass off and continue to develop. So I think we're going to be much improved, and I'm excited to watch it.
Derek, I'm glad that you said it like that. In your words, play your ass off, essentially. What do you think, if I were to put these two things together, a good record, obviously we all want to see the Badgers Bowl again for not just this upcoming season, but beyond. What matters to you more, though, this season? Having that strong bowl-eligible record or more of just how they play on the field?
Yeah, obviously both those things are critical. But I would say how they play is number one. I mean, you want to be gritty, you want to be tough, and you want to compete your ass off. So that's number one, and then number two would be get bowl eligible. And I think that would be fantastic. It would be a great year. So better fire it up.
Yeah, I do think those go hand in hand. And one of the things that has me fired up, to use your words, Tarek, is we talked with Monte Ball, and he said that Jeff Grimes texted him and Melvin and a few other Badger backs and said, hey, we're going to get back to Badger football, and we're going to run the football. We're going to make you guys proud. And I asked him if he ever got that text from Longo. He said no. He said that Fickle reached out when he got here, and there were communications there, but the prior offensive coordinator didn't reach out. And some of it's obviously lip service, but to me it matters that Grimes came in here and understood, hey, let's make sure we're making our former Badger running backs proud.
Well, that's great that he did that. And, I like Coach Longo. I think if his offense, if that's the offense you want to run, then he could run that offense. Just wasn't a good fit. And I think losing quarterbacks and perhaps not having the system all together there for.
Oh. Lost Tarek completely there.
Yikes.
Hopefully we'll get Tarek
No,
back. There he is.
there he
Yeah,
is.
I'm sorry. Just had someone trying to call me. But, Coach Grimes, I don't know where I left off, but I just said Coach Longo was a great guy.
Yep.
And his system fits in certain places. It didn't fit here. Coach Grimes, I've talked to him. He has, I think, more of in line with what we want to run here. And I think he's committed to it. I think he brings a lot, not just the system, but the mindset. He's an offensive line coach at heart. So I think it's more reflective of who we are, the identity of who we are. And I think it will be much improved because of that.
Tarek, straightforward, what excites you the most? It feels like that there's a lot of optimism, or it's more optimism coming into this season, I should say. But what is that one thing that you could pinpoint? Like, this is the thing that I think I'm most stoked about for Badger football this season.
Well, I think it's what we talked about. It's Coach Grimes coming in here. I think it's the personnel that what they did on defense. We are way bigger, we have way more depth on that front seven on defense. I think that the back end, I think will be good. It's tough losing Hunter, but I think they'll recover okay. So defense is going to be solid. I think they made improvements at receiver. I think the offensive line now is with the new left tackle. We have some depth there. Three-headed monster running back. The quarterback is tough, and the backup is tough. They got a rookie that's coming. A rookie. Yeah, we got to call them rookies now because
right.
we're on the precipice of pro football. And recruiting is no longer recruiting. It's like signing guys. This is pro football almost. And but anyways, they did a great job of signing guys and getting the right guys in there. I think I'm excited to watch these guys go, and the combination, it's the Jimmy and Joes and the coaching, but that collective group I think is very encouraging.
Tarek, before we let you go here with the NIL stuff, like, what is your perfect scenario as they try to figure it out, whether it's through the Nick Saban has some ideas. There's the court system that might be creating some guidelines. In your perfect world, how do you think this NIL and portal thing lives?
Are you talking about like today or like in 3 to 5 years?
Let's go 3 to 5. Like, if you could just fix it and say, let's say starting not this upcoming football season, but the following one with a magic wand, you say this is how it's going to go.
Okay. Well, I would engage the NFL. I would engage private equity. I would form a league, and I would bring in the CBA from the NFL, and I'd create rules and guidelines, and set up a market, and basic market, and it would you'd be part of the NFLPA. I know the NFL doesn't want all the teams, but the teams that they don't want, private equity would buy them. I would set up each team like the Packers. I'd have a board. I'd have a president, GM, and I would, if you were going to be in that league, let's say Arizona State, The NFL doesn't want them. Private equity team would buy them. They'd all pay a royalty back to the school, a license to the stadium, so forth and so on, make everybody employees, and then they would all follow that employment process. And there we go.
That's pretty out of the box, Tarek. I like it, Tarek. I like it. I think it's something that works. They have to do something. For me, it's yours is more advanced than mine. It's they need contracts, and they just need to have something that's pretty clear. So it protects the school, protects the kid. It doesn't have to be lifetime contracts, but hey, if you're signing, it's 2 years and kind of tighten up the portal, things like that.
Yeah, well, that should be today.
Yes,
you know what I mean. I'm talking. You asked me 3 to 5 years.
Oh, no, I like your
that's
idea.
An easy, right now today. Yeah, draw the contracts. Let's go. Let's have enforceable contracts, and let's just go the way it is. I'm fine. You know, it protects the player, protects the team. I'm all for that. Everyone's all for compensation. Everybody just wants some structure and stuff around it. My little 3 to 5 year deal is what it is. It's a future.
I like it's really it's
finally something. You never liked anything I've said in my life. This is awesome.
It's thought out. It's good, Tarek. It's good, Tarek. Well, good luck to your daughter and enjoy your trip out west.
Yeah, go Badgers.
Thanks,
Badgers.
Pablo.
Thanks, Jim.
Hey.
All right, that's Badger Hall of Famer Tarek Saleh, the all-time leader in sacks in UW history, Tarek Saleh as well. This has been the Jump Around. Thanks for watching.